What's up, guys? My name is Gabe and welcome back to the Trojan Blade. Welcome back to a brand new video. So this is a much different kind of video than what I usually do here, but this is quite simply too big a story to not talk about. If you haven't been following it, man, there's a ton of news going on with USC and the Big Ten involving Michigan as well. So we have a ton to get to. If you guys are enjoying the videos, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you would, please do consider subscribing to both the Trojan Blade Patreon or becoming a channel member. Both of those are linked down below. Thank you guys so much for being here. Now let's get into it. All right, so this all started when Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo, a phenomenal college football reporter, said that the Big Ten was looking into partnering with an investment fund, which actually happens to be the investment fund of the University of California pension system that's called UC Investments. So to summarize, and we will get more into the article and more into the specifics here in a second, but then the pension fund and the Big Ten signing a 20-year, $2.4 billion deal that is going to add an additional 10 years to the grant of rights, taking it to 2046. Now, there's a multitude of reasons, which we will get into in a minute, but USC and Michigan are the two standalone schools that do not want to do this. And essentially, the Big Ten has told us both to go F ourselves. They're going to go forward with it anyway. It doesn't matter what we want. They're going to go ahead, and if they get a 16-team vote, which is everyone but USC and Michigan, and they all agree, they're going to go forward with it anyway, giving us a hard deadline and making a bunch of threats. And this entire thing is completely shady. It's completely slimy. As we'll get into in a minute, the Big Ten is doing a backroom, behind closed doors deal, not giving full transparency to all member schools, and they think they can strong arm us in Michigan into doing what they want. And I think they're going to learn the hard way that that's not going to happen. So getting into the Ross Dellinger article here, I am going to do some reading. The full story is going to be linked down below if you want to check it out yourself. Just want to highlight a few things he says. Starting with this, he says, in messages sent to Michigan and USC, the Big Ten has signaled that it is moving forward with the deal, even delivering to each program a proposed deadline for their decision. If they don't agree to the deal, the schools may lose the additional capital as part of the landmark proposal and risk their future within the conference beyond 2036, the current end of the existing grant of rights agreement. League officials are socializing a specific date, November 21, for a vote on the capital investment proposal. Administrators and board members at both Michigan and USC were informed earlier this week that if a 16-school agreement is reached, the two programs would be granted a grace period, 3 to 6 months, to agree to join the deal if they wish to reap the full financial benefits. That period is only a proposal for now. So, do what we want or you're out of the club. Now, obviously, I don't know the language of the grant of rights. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know if I'd be able to decipher it. But man, common sense has to tell you, there is no way that this is written into that deal. That the Big Ten can just do whatever they want, willy-nilly, strong-arm schools, go forward without their agreement, and be given hard deadlines, cut out of financial deals while still in the conference. This would obviously have to play out in court. And please, if any of you are law experts or are lawyers yourselves, that seems like something that would allow us to get out of this conference pretty easily. Please do let me know if I'm wrong, but that makes zero sense to me overall. Ross continues saying the money is significant, though it is unclear how the deal's value is impacted by the potential absence of two of its biggest brands. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, should we? Let's take a look at the Big Ten minus USC and Michigan. You have Illinois, that's not going to move the needle. Indiana's a hot commodity right now. Iowa doesn't move the needle. Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, Nebraska's a good brand. Northwestern does nothing. Ohio State, obviously A tier. Oregon's a big brand. Penn State's a tricky one. Who knows how long this rebuild's going to take, but brand-wise, they're very good. And then you have Purdue, Rutgers, UCLA, and Washington. Is that really a conference that UC Investments is going to dump $2.4 billion into? A USC and Michigan-less Big Ten? It's Ohio State and Oregon and a bunch of stuff. That's all it is. So I can't see them making that move. So I think that the Big Ten has a ton to lose here. They think they're playing with a full deck of cards, and I don't think they are. I think USC and Michigan have a ton of leverage and a ton of strength on their side in this argument. Continuing on with the article, Ross writes, while there is wide support for the deal across the other 16 Big Ten schools, board members and even some university administrators at USC and Michigan are pushing back against the agreement for a variety of reasons. In public comments made last month, University of Michigan trustees described the deal as a, quote, payday loan and called it an unnecessary step and a, quote, bailout for those Big Ten schools that have mismanaged their finances. While those at USC have kept their feelings more private, Trojans athletic director Jen Cohen and her university board members hold reservations about an agreement that, for one, would distribute more revenue to league members Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State than all other schools. Okay, so let's pause right there and actually move to the back end of the article where he gets into the specifics of that. So get this, a driving factor for USC is the uneven distribution of revenue. Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State stand to earn as much as $190 million in upfront cash from the $2.4 billion, or about $40 to $50 million more than USC and Oregon. The other 13 schools are expected to receive $100 to $110 million. You're trying to tell me that USC and Oregon, who just won the conference, mind you, are worth $40 to $50 million less than Penn State? Sorry, don't buy that. Not for a second. I guess being Ohio State's bitch and getting a bunch of fake playoff wins against Boise State and SMU gives you a $50 million bump. Ross goes on to say USC would also earn a smaller percentage of future annual conference distribution than Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. The three legacy programs are expected to get an annual cut of about 5.5% of league revenues, with the other schools at 5% or lower, according to those who have seen details of the deal. And you wonder why USC is against this deal. Knowing your own worth and being able to bet on yourself is so damn important. Now, I think USC should be an independent school for football. I do. And I will get more into that towards the end of this video, but it's shit like this that gives me that opinion. And I'm just going to come out and say it right now. Notre Dame fans were right. They've had the right idea the entire time. Independence is the way to go. Bet on yourself. Do something out of the box. Get a deal with Netflix. Do something that hasn't been done before. Because this is bullshit. We came in as a full price member into the Big Ten. They would not have gotten that massive media deal they got if it wasn't for us. It wasn't UCLA, it wasn't Oregon, it wasn't Washington. It was USC that pushed it over that edge. And now they want to give us a smaller percentage of annual conference distribution. Now they want to give us $50 million less than Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State get? No, I don't see how that works. Now, when I called this a shady, backdoor, slimy deal, this is why. Going back up the article, Ross says the latest Big Ten proposal has elicited concerns from an array of university board members, even those outside of USC and Michigan, many of whom say that they've only been shown limited pieces of the investment plan and were told the decision rests not with board members, but solely with university presidents and chancellors. So this is a letter from the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, aka the ACTA, and this was sent to the regents and trustees of Big Ten member institutions. When I said it was shady and slimy, this is why. Moving down this first paragraph a little, it says, as a fellow governing board member and as a president of a national organization whose mission is to support higher education accountability through engaged trusteeship, I have serious concerns about the process behind this proposal. These concerns have critical implications not just for college athletics, but for the integrity of American higher education writ large. Now moving down to the third paragraph, all governing board members, whether they are called trustees, regents, or visitors, have a responsibility to ensure that America's institutions act in the best interests of all stakeholders, especially the public. And yet there is a credible claim that governing boards have received insufficient information to make any such determination with respect to the Big Ten Enterprises proposal. This would be a shocking lack of transparency given the stakes of this transaction. This is not how responsible governance functions. Boards cannot discharge their fiduciary duties without having access to the full text of any proposed agreement, sufficient time to study its implications, and a formal role in authorizing or declining their institution's participation before a binding vote is cast. Absolutely unbelievable that a deal of this magnitude that's going to have an earthquake effect throughout all of college football, let alone the Big Ten, let alone USC and Michigan, and it's not being communicated to these universities. They're giving you a pat on the back and they're saying, trust me, bro, I got your best interest. No, you don't, Big Ten. No, you don't. This is shady. They're not giving full disclosure on a deal that's going to change college athletics forever. You can't make this stuff up. So all in all, just like the Michigan spokesperson said, what this is a bailout for schools that don't have a lot of money. We already have a lot of money. Michigan already has a lot of money. Why would we want to level the playing field even more than it already is? Hey, USC, stay in the conference. We're going to give you $50 million less than Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, your chief rivals, to win the conference. And you're not going to be getting that much more than Iowa and Indiana and Purdue and Maryland. So at a time when money is an advantage for USC, let's level the playing field. Let's give $100 million to Iowa. Let's give $100 million to Washington. This entire thing is a slap in the face to USC and Michigan. And the fact that we don't want to go forward with it, and they told us to go F ourselves, that tells you everything about where the Big Ten is right now. Now, over the last few days, there has been some talk about USC and Michigan going independent or trying to do a new conference led by USC, Michigan, and Notre Dame. And you look to add like Miami and North Carolina and stuff like that. But going independent for sure seems like the best and most realistic option to me. And then today, this morning, if you guys don't follow Mover over on Twitter, I will have his profile linked down in the description. When it comes to conference realignment, this guy is on top of everything. He called USC UCLA to the Big Ten like 6 or 7 months before it actually happened. No, it was more than that. It might have been a full year, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it. ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, SEC, this guy's on top of everything. When he speaks, people listen. So this morning he tweeted there is real fire to the smoke that Michigan and USC could leave the Big Ten over the equity deal. So much so that both schools have negotiated a backroom backup plan for non-football sports to move to the ACC if necessary. So there you have it. You guys can obviously choose on your own who you trust. Mover's a guy that I trust fully. I've had his tweet notifications on for years now. So if there's language in the grant of rights, or a lack of language, I guess, saying that what they're doing is allowed, strong-arming us, trying to force us into this equity deal, potentially having us in the conference while every other team gets this capital, gets this benefit, and we don't, along with Michigan, there has to be a way to get out of this stupid conference. And again, it would have to play out in court, but if we were able to make that happen, I know it's brutal for the non-football sports, although Stanford and Cal are in the ACC, so it sucks for them, I get that. But at the end of the day, football drives the bus. It's why you guys are here on this channel. It's why all this money is being thrown around in the first place. So I'm worried about USC football, first and foremost. Everything else takes a backseat. Going independent with Michigan, with Notre Dame, having a schedule every single year with the likes of Stanford and Cal, Notre Dame and Michigan, scheduling more West Coast teams, taking off the burden of travel, which I will admit I downplayed heading into the Big Ten. I for sure downplayed it. It's one of those things where if you don't travel for a while, it's like, oh, flying out to Maryland, who cares? I could do that. But then when you actually travel yourself and you're just so exhausted and drained, you're like, oh God, these kids are having to do this multiple times a year, sometimes back-to-back weeks. Like, it's brutal. Being a West Coast team in the Big Ten, it's for sure brutal. So for me, go independent. Schedule more West Coast teams. Schedule Michigan and Notre Dame every single year. Tell the Big Ten to go eat shit and move on with our lives. Mover also goes on to say nothing would happen until the current contract ends. But after that, do not be shocked for both schools to possibly go indie in football and join the ACC and all else, a la Notre Dame. Which again, if there's a way to get out of this contract because of what the Big Ten is doing, then I think we absolutely explore that and find a way out of it. So I guess in conclusion, the Big Ten is doing a shady, slimy backdoor deal, not giving full disclosure to trustee members, not letting them see the language inside the contract. Not only that, but we're going to be making less money than Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Right off the bat, significantly so, as they're going to be getting $50 million more than we in Oregon are, which is weird, especially Penn State. Don't get that one at all. Also going to be making less every single year at the annual distribution of revenue. This is an unfair deal. This is a backwards deal, and it's something I don't want USC to have any part of. And I'm glad that so far we're holding our ground, and I absolutely am done with this stupid conference. So I know that this was kind of a weird video. Hopefully I did a good enough job of recapping what's gone on. Not a legal expert by any means, although I have watched every single season of Suits. So I'm sure that gives me some credibility. Some call me the Mike Ross of the USC YouTube space. No one actually calls me that. I don't know what's happening anymore. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. This video's off the rails. I'm sure a lot of you guys are much more knowledgeable than I am about these sort of things, so please do let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. As soon as this video is live, I'm going to be down there seeing what you guys have to say. So yeah, really appreciate you being here. You guys are all awesome, and as always, take care and fight on.